A warrior's creed. I have no home. I make awareness my home. I have no parents. I make the heaven and earth my parents. I have no life and death. I make the tides of breathing my life and death. I have no divine powers. I make truth my divine power. I have no means. I make knowledge my means. I have no secrets. I make nature my secret. I have no body. I make immortality my body. I have no eyes. I make the flash of illumination my eyes. I have no ears. I make sensitivity my ears. I have no limbs. I make timelessness my limbs. I have no strategy. I make unshadowed by thought my strategy. I have no design. I make seizing opportunity my design. I have no miracles. I make compassion my miracle. I have no principles. I make adaptability to all circumstances my principle. I have no tactics. I make emptiness and fullness my tactics. I have no talent. I make courage my talent. I have no friends. I make my true self my friend. I have no armor. I make benevolence and right action my armor. I have no castle. I make silent mind my castle. I have no sword. I make absence of ego my sword. I have no enemy. I make unawareness my enemy. So this is Bill Ryan from Project Avalon, and the conversation that I'm having with Christine, the Project Avalon moderator, today, for the Faces of Avalon, is in answer to this interesting question. And the question is, if somebody comes to you, as quite often they do, they come to me, they come to many people, they say, I'm becoming aware of the problems in the world. I don't like what I'm finding out. I'm worried. I want to do something. I want to take responsibility, but who am I? No one's going to listen to me. I don't have a big sphere of influence. What can I do? That's the question.
Okay, well, that's a very good question. And indeed, I think it's probably one of the most important ones to try to find some answers to. How I would answer that perhaps would have individual repercussions to the person asking it to me. However, if I'm answering it on a larger scale for myself and my own self-discovery, the own process that I've gone through over these past many years, my answer comes down to one thing. We're much more powerful than we've ever been led to believe we are. And we're certainly much more powerful as a group of people called humanity. We've been led, lied to, embedded in our memories, embedded in our reality, has become a very deeply held belief based on science, finances, society, mother, father, the way we've been educated, that we really don't make that much of a difference, that we're just these little things. We don't see deep enough inside ourselves. We don't understand our connection to even ourself, with our planet, with the other people, with the other beings on the planet. So we've lost contact. We had it. Many indigenous people know this intimately and innately. It's in part of their society. We've lost contact that we are part of something much greater, and by being part of that, we make a big difference. So there is several steps, I believe, on this journey that we're all taking together, and we're all in different places because each of us is an individual. That what we do, think, and say are ultimately very important. But to be able to become conscious of what we do, think, and say, and that consciousness journey up to what we really truly are, is a step in the journey that we're on. And we're all there to help each other along that way. We have been trained to be lone wolves, independent thinkers. Now I'm speaking mostly of the Western world, but the Western world modern world has predominated on our planet for a very long time now. But that's how many, many of us, I know for me to break my patterns, to break my programming, to break out of that, it's like breaking free of that, has given me the greatest gifts and the greatest wonders and awe and the return to magic of my life. And that's what I would like to share for me to anybody that might be listening to this. Now, it doesn't matter what we do. You see, that's the thing. As long as that we realize that we as consciousness have a choice. That every breathing, every breath, every minute that we are here, we actually have a choice. And we've long, long been diverted from that sovereignty, that sense of I am a being, that I am a consciousness, into a reactive state of mind. So we spend most of our energy in reaction, either whether we've been watching a commercial or we think we need the new car, or we think that we better get that lipstick color that they're promoting, or whether we listen to the talking heads on the television shows and the news shows that are feeding us information, which is really a propaganda. We're not actually accessing the intelligence that we really and truly are. So we're in this program response mode. Now, many, many people are moving out of that right now. And that, for me, is becoming the new evolution for us as a humanity, because we're intimately connected with each other. And so if me, little me, because I'm not really, there's no claim to fame here in any way, but my expanded sense of my consciousness and my connection with the people. And I will give a little plug here for the Project Avalon Forum right now. Having been able to come into that forum, meet many people all over the planet, all walks of life, that have run the gamut of consciousness from the darkest, deepest secrets that have been withheld from us, the things that have been done in the name of humanity. And I have a deep, deep sense that this was not humanity that did this. Deep things. So we're running a gamut of some of the darkest things that we have to confront as a group of people, all the way through the spectrum, to our connection to our earth again, to our sky, to our cosmos. And here we are at this very tipping point moment, very tipping point moment, in my opinion, where we're becoming aware of this and my connection to the earth, to my brothers and sisters, to the animals on the planet, to the plant life, to all the forms of life that this planet is the mother to, and also to the cosmos. And our science, the science that is coming into the consciousness right now, it's all right there. Is it being withheld from the mass numbers of people? You bet it is. Because the minute that humanity really wakes up, we will actually have another earth. We will actually have another way of relating to each other. And it won't be the earth of hierarchical structures and power over and domination and manipulation. When we wake our heart of humanity up, we actually can have the world that we would like it to be. And for me, that is the biggest message that I could ever impart upon somebody is wake up. Take yourself back. Know yourself. Really, really know yourself. And so everything you do in any conscious moment whatever it is, whether you're getting yourself educated, whether you're talking to your children, whether you're talking to your parents or your friends or the people in the supermarket, wherever you go, everything you say, everything you demonstrate makes a huge difference. And someday those ripples will be large enough and they'll extend far enough, and our reality will actually shift here on our planet Earth.
I hear you saying that the way that we do things, the decisions we make, the inner consciousness we can have at every moment of every day has a much greater effect than we might think. Is that right?
One of the things that I've become very aware of is that we're actually making a choice every second of every living breath and every day. There's never a moment when we're not making a choice. The problem is that we're not conscious of that choice that we're making. So I return it to consciousness. And that's why the truth movement, all of the things that many people have been actively doing, whether they're investigating through science, whether they're out there speaking on the world platform, whether you're David Icke or you're an Alex Jones or you're any of these people, you're bringing into consciousness for the mass of humanity what's actually been going on. Now, without having that knowledge, being in an unconscious state, our choices are somewhat limited. We don't really recognize this matrix in which we are having this life in. And we're never separate from the matrix. No matter what we think, we've been isolated and separated, we can't. They're physically, physiologically, in any level, we can't really be separated from it. So once we start to understand that, then we recognize the very many sages and wisdom speakers have always said that what we do unto another, we are actually doing unto ourselves. And when we really grasp that, when we actually really grasp the reality of it, we, by that nature, will start changing how we're acting. If we're going to realize that by being angry or hurtful to even another being, but even so much for us to the earth, when we're taking from something, we're actually taking from ourselves and we're hurting ourselves. So it is a two-way street. It's this connection, this interconnectedness that I believe that many, many people are waking up to right now. It changes the way you are in the world. It really changes. Because you actually are having now a conscious knowledge of something that you weren't quite aware of before. And so it is a process of waking up. And when that becomes your being state, when it's actually become integrated, I think you used that word, right, Bill, of integration, when you actually integrate yourself. Yourself is an integration, but you're integrated with a greater whole, then you actually are changed. And therefore, it's not even a process of saying, oh, well, should I do this or should I do that? And oh my gosh, is that the right choice or is that the right choice? And oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's actually, you're integrated. Therefore, the choice of the right choice is already determined. We can't have peace in the world unless we're peaceful beings. We have to become peaceful ourselves for this world actually to become a peaceful world. We can't go fight somebody to have peace. It's an illogical thing, and yet somehow our human mind has been trained to think that there's something okay with that. There's not. This, for me, is the fundamental change that we as humanity are going through right now. The old world is already crumbling. It's gone. You know, we just haven't recognized it yet. We cannot go back. We can't go back to something that is actually falling apart because it was never built on reality anyways. It was based on false paradigms, false science, false thought. So this is our greatest moment of opportunity. And that is also, I think, when somebody's really confronting the darker side, let's say, or the underbelly of how this has happened on our planet, is that when we embrace it as our greatest opportunity, we give it a move forward instead of succumbing to it.
You're saying that if we feel conflict or disagreement with our partners or our family members or our neighbors, then if we can truly transcend any triggers or reflexes or reactions that we have, if we can get on the outside of that and transcend that and be the change that we want to see in the world, you're saying it makes a real difference. It's not just a conceptual difference. You say it makes a real difference.
Because when we talk about states of being, this is fundamental to understand, and I think many, many people do. if you've examined yourself, and of course many people in the, I don't know, whatever movement we want to call it, I won't even give it a name, but let's just say the understanding or the deepened understanding of consciousness, and how consciousness is actually the projection into the world. When we start to really understand the mechanism of that, that state of being is the only thing that will ultimately change it. I can't intellectually argue anybody into peace. I can't promote peace by saying you're wrong and I'm right. All of those are going to be, now it doesn't matter that those things exist. That's going to happen. We're a multitude of beings and a multitude of reasons and a multitude of many things. But it's how we actually choose to look at it and respond to it. And that to me is that choice factor. I have at any moment, especially when something is of a conflictual nature that comes into my world, I have a choice in that moment how I'm going to respond to it. And I may have many reactive. I might get angry, I might get agitated, I might find that there's a lot of things that want to move with me. But if I can go back to a state of being peaceful and right with it, then I have right action. And that is something that's doesn't come from a logical confirmation of my mind. It comes from on a deeper level of reality for me. And so I can take all my own conflict and my own emotion and I can hold it within myself and I can let it be. Just let it be there. It's okay. I don't have to judge it. I don't have to think I'm right, I'm wrong. I don't have to make the other right or wrong. I don't have to do any justification. I can just hold it because I'm seeing it for what it is. It's there. That in and of itself starts to change it. It's not the doing that I'm doing, it's the being that I am that starts to change it. And that goes in ripple effects throughout all of us, whether it's in a small family matrix or it's somebody that's actually sitting up on a world stage and talking. We're promoting something through our being.
This is a Buddhist principle of right action, right thought, right attitude. Tibet was full of Buddhists who embodied that every day. They still got butchered by the Chinese. Mm-hmm. Christ himself embodied this, and he ended up on the cross. A cynic might say, well, it doesn't make any difference. You're just rolling over and allowing the global controllers to do whatever they want to because you're not putting up any resistance. What would you say to that?
And the question then comes, how do we change it? Now we're not looking at just a small group of people, and I don't take anything from the Buddhist or from the great avatar of Jesus or any of the others that have come to the planet and have seen deeply inside that have the keys to the matrix. Okay, they have the keys to manifest. How do we take from the unmanifest and manifest? That knowledge is to be given to everybody. That's why they were persecuted. And the Buddhists for many years kept this secret because they knew it would be misused. So it is a matter of confronting it straight for what it is. And even in my little example of me and my own, maybe I get upset by something somebody did to me. How do I deal with it? You see, the humanity, you see, this isn't just about one individual right now. This is the awakening of humanity. This is why I love David Icke when he says, humanity, get off your knees. If we can all, more of us, we don't know when the 100th monkey is going to come along here, can start to embrace this, we are powerful beyond our greatest imagination. We are more powerful than anything we can possibly imagine right now. As long as we stay asleep, as long as we stay under the guise of unconsciousness of what a drone strike is really doing and what's really happening with depleted uranium, what's really happening with the vaccines. I can get on a big rant about all of that that's going on. I certainly can. But as one person, what can I do? You see that? I mean, many people are called to do many things. When you hear the call of whatever it is that you as a being are called to do, as long as you're awake, as long as you see, as long as you can confront it for what it is, you will change the world.
What I think you're saying there is that if you are in a position to take action, if your life circumstances permit that, then that is what you should do. It shouldn't be reactive action. It should be wise, considered, conscious action, but it should still be action. If one feels that there is no action one can take, you're saying that even within that situation, one can make a difference with one's own contribution to the ripple effect by conscious action, conscious thought, conscious attitude in your personal situation, no matter how small it might feel it is. You're saying that that makes a difference, and then together that recipe will actually start to have some leverage. Is that right?
Well, yes. And I would call it the awakening of humanity, as each of us is awakened, but there's always something we can do. The smallest thing we can do. You know, this very smallest thing. I mean, a lot of us, I think, have been, again, trained or conditioned that, well, we give, you know, you're a free will being and you're just going to make your own decisions and you're going to go your own way. And, you know, I grant you that beingness of doing that. And yet, when it comes to the people that we're close to, or the people that we're in contact with, or whether we're in our jobs or whatever, if you have some information, share it. Share it. You know, if somebody is eating at McDonald's every day and it's in your family, share what you know. You don't have to bang them over the head and say you must change. Give them the information. Let them decide. And so this is the sharing of information. And we're sharing information now at an exponential rate through the internet. And actually, I'm starting to understand how consciousness works. Because even a thought is an energy that's being sent out everywhere, and there are people picking it up. So if you have within you a drive to help people wake up, to help them take back their own power, this is about empowering each other too. This isn't about me being anything over you. This is about my understanding is that you're as powerful of a being as I can be also. So information is essential in that. Take back your own control of your own health, of your own eating, of your own children. It's all of that, all of those little things, and they're not little. They're not little. Read the labels on the food. Talk to your neighbor about what you found out. It's not about forcing people into anything. It's about sharing. Share whatever you know with somebody else, and those are ripple effects. So there's always something we can be doing. And if you find yourself in a situation where you really can't speak, indeed, if you can actually access a moment of presence within the intelligence, okay, that is actually forming this life, you will unknowingly maybe be changing those people around you. You see, that's the knowing of yourself. What is the driving force of your life? Of the knowing yourself. You may be called to sign petitions. You may be called to stand and march on the streets. You may be called to take a bullhorn. You may be called to speak your truth. You may be called to paint a painting. It's not for me to say that for anybody. And that's why I go back to that aspect of once you tap into that aspect of yourself, knowing yourself, then there's a call. There's a passion. There's that very life itself is beating inside of each of us. And that's the part of ourselves that we have the least contact with in the most daily way that we're going about our lives. We're caught up in paying our mortgages and taking care of the children, making sure there's gasoline in the car. What about paying our taxes? All of that diversion takes us away from knowing that part of ourselves. But as more and more humans become more in contact with that, then you start to have that knowing. And it's not for me or anybody else to say to anybody what they should or should not be doing. That would never be my place. But is to try to waken up that passion. Trying to wake up that real passion, which is the heartbeat of life, or however you want to describe it. Because me sitting here in this physical form, there's something else here too. All right, this physical form, if I were to take it apart by molecules, what's keeping it alive? What's making my voice talk? You know, all those things are the aspects that we as modern people have been diverged from, separated from. So it's really more of a callback to that. And then each person would know what they're doing, because if we're being driven by our own inner passion, then we're doing the part that we were called to do.
I hear many people saying, look, I care about what's going on here. I feel a helpless onlooker to this slow motion demolition of the planet. I'm sure I'm here for a reason, because I feel that my life isn't just random. But then they say, but I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. I've got a job, I've got a family.
Sure.
I don't have any presence in the world, no one knows my face or my name. How am I meant to get in touch with whatever it is I came here to do, if I came here to do anything? What's your answer to that?
Well, I can't answer for everybody or anybody, really. I mean, I really can only answer for myself. You know, what is our life but this journey, there where we are right now, and each of us are going to have our own particular challenges. I would probably say embrace yourself exactly how you are. Embrace yourself for exactly how you are. You know, we're trained also to make our lives acts of comparison. Well, am I as good as that person over there? Well, I don't look as good as she does. That person has a better job than I do. Well, they drive a better car. Well, they seem to have a happier family. All of those are acts of how we compare ourselves constantly. Well, it's more like get to know yourself. There's nothing greater than anything else. There's nobody greater than you. And if you know that, and you're, whatever it is, the smallest of our acts sometimes are the greatest things that we provide. So whether it's taking care of your own children, whether it's speaking to somebody that needs help, how often do we not reach out and help when we can? But these aren't things that I would ever say to anybody else. It's only the way that we actually get to know who we are, each individual. And as we get deeper into that individual knowing of ourselves, we get deeper into a much grander picture of our relationship. So when people ask you, Bill, I mean, I'm sure you get asked all the time. You're in a position where people probably do ask you all the time. There's very little that we can actually tell somebody else because we don't have their life. We're not living in their bodies. We don't live in their circumstances. But we can inspire. And we can bring a bit of light or a bit of knowledge or a bit of care. I think how many of us just need a little bit of care and need to know that somebody else understands our dilemmas. That and alone frees up a lot of energy, just knowing you're not alone. And I think you've provided that in a way that's deeply appreciated by many people.
I think people being encouraged by realizing that they're not alone, they're not standing alone, is really very important. My own answer to that question, which I really am often asked, which is, well, what can I do? What should I be doing? What is my mission? How do I find out? Is listen to what excites you. If you're thinking, if you're scanning around the possible menu of all the things that you might do, fantastical or otherwise, and something really gets you excited and energized, it's like, wow, I really wish I could do that. It's like an act of creative imagination. Then that just might be it. It might be that thing that's deeply resonating within you, but you don't know the details, but you recognize the energetic signature. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, I do. And you know, as you were speaking, and I know quite often, I've had contact with a lot of people for whatever my energy signature, whatever I'm resonating, the people that are really in desperate straits. So they're not even, and I've been there myself, and I think that's important that we actually do realize that whatever suffering, whatever pain, whatever delusion, whatever moment of the dark night of the soul or the void that we might be confronting, each of us individually, that many have traversed that area. They've been there. And so it is sometimes very difficult to speak to somebody about finding passion when they're at the depth of apathy. And yet, this is what we do for each other. Through our words, through our when we see somebody is just reaching out a little bit out of ourselves and saying, I understand. I've been there. I have a very large, compassionate heart, not because I'm something that did something extraordinary, but because I've been to the depths, because I've been deep inside the pain, the suffering, the sense of loss, the sense of disconnection. I've been through all of these areas where I was saying we have this very broad spectrum of consciousness, of this journey that we've been on for, how could I even put it in terminology of time? It doesn't even make sense to put it in terminology of time right now. And so in a way it is, we give what we can give. We embrace what we can embrace. And the more we embrace and the more we give, the more we can embrace and the more we can give and the more complete we become. And so I know for sure that the smallest kindness to me when I was at the worst places of my life, the smallest kindness meant the most. It wasn't a big thing. It really wasn't. It wasn't somebody doing something great for me or anything. They just believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself.
Yes. And if there's a key moment that you always remember, that may not have been that person who helped you and gave you so much in that instant. They might not even have been aware of the fact that they were making a difference.
Because they weren't. They weren't doing it for anything other than a state of their own beingness. They recognized something and they followed it. They didn't logically think, well, I should help this person because she's really not doing very well right now. No, this is our humanness. This is our humanity. And it resonates out of a heart. And when we talk about resonance, and we tend to get all, the way we logically talk to each other and the way we've compartmentalized and how we view our world. But it's something you get in touch with. It's a resonance. It's a resonant factor about something about who we are, why we're here, why we're important, why we made this choice. We're not here by accident. And so it's a discovery process. And once you get into that aspect of it, like you go, wow, this is discovery now. We're on the verge of discovering things. Then the life starts to open up and it becomes awe-inspiring. I mean, if you can even begin to conceptualize standing on the edge of infinity. I love that term. I was having a great conversation with a friend the other day about that, because what you're looking out is at a vastness, an unexplored vastness. And that is exciting once we get past and get out of the manipulated state that we've been in for so long.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you.